And we'll be live any second. All right, guys, we are live. Let's see. Yeah, now you can see me, kind of. What is going on with this? Go like that. There we go. All right, we're out here in the garage. We're going to do some stuff tonight with the Red Baron. Just bear with me for a moment while we get started. I see Wayne's here. Sean, Billy Bob, Charles Klein, Jumping General, Cameron, Frog Puppet. What's happening? All right, we're going to set a goal. All right. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. And we just started a goal, so I have a game. I'll show this to you guys. Right here. I have a game under this blanket over here that if we do 20 super chats of any amount, I will unveil that game and we'll do some live gameplay of it. So, rock and roll. Where's Ty supposed to be? You're supposed to be right here, Ty. You're in the right place. Thanks for coming. Okay, and I'm sorry if there's a bit of a background noise. I've got a fan going, and I kind of have to because it is so. I'll sort of reposition it a little bit. Maybe that's better. I got to get some airflow in here because it is grueling. But so. Come on in. Oh, here we go. Charles Klein getting things rolling with our first $5 million super chat donation. And really appreciate that. Charles says, first super. That's not your first super ever. That's our first super of the evening. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. But the main attraction this evening is my Red Baron. So I have been very busy working on this thing, believe it or not. Down here, I'll take you off the, hopefully you won't get too seasick, but there's my Geo 5 802 vector monitor, which is completely rebuilt. Or I guess I did a cap kit and I replaced filter caps and did a couple of other things. I didn't replace the flyback because there are no reproduction flybacks for that particular monitor. Over here on the cabinet, we've got a couple things going on. I noticed there was some damage on the cabinet. Not too bad, but a little bit of separation. Like there's this panel, because I think virtually all upright Red Barons are factory conversions of unsold Battlezone cabinets, and so you imagine like the Battlezone has the, periscope and the sort of surround kind of thing for it. And there are these extra panels that Atari, I'll show you on this side, that Atari kind of bolted on to fill in this gap where the kind of Battlezone surround would go. And on this side, I think what happened was somebody moved the cabinet by pulling on this, and it separated off, and it was just kind of being held on by a thread. Previous owner had thrown some screws in, so I got it recentered, reseated those screws, and threw a ton of staples, like crown staples with my staple gun. It doesn't look that great on the inside. You can see where all these staples are, but looks great on the outside, so I think we're in business. Another cool thing that I shared on the, I shared this board if you haven't seen it, but this is a quality control ticket sheet from Battlezone, and has a date of October 1980, and I imagine, we were talking about this, they couldn't have QC'd every cabinet, so this must have been a special, oh, that's really loose on the tripod. This must have been a special, Battlezone that they actually QC'd, so, yeah, okay. Holy cow, guys, holy cow. All right, hold on. You guys are, So Billy Bob is donation maxing here. Let's see. We got, first of all, we have, well, Cameron jumped in for $199 million or $1.99 million super chat, says, let's go, baby. Ty is claiming it's not letting him do a super chat. I don't know, maybe your credit card expired or something like that, Ty, but thank you for being a member for 15 months. Really appreciate it. Mafia Boss Plankton checking in. Cameron Cardwell with another $1.99 million super chat. Frog Puppet says put a 60 in one in it. No. With his $2 million super chat. And then we got, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 super chats of $1 million each from Billy Bob. I think he's found the glitch on trying to get us to our goal of 20 super chat donations of any amount. I think the lowest you can do is $1. And we will unveil the mystery cabinet, which just so happens to be this thing over here. So maybe we'll get there. You'll get to see it one way or another. It's the one under the blanket. Get your guesses in now on what that might be. But anyway, so go ahead. I got Sean in the control room feeding me information live in my ear. What? It's broken at the bottom? No, it's just a little chipped up. Just a little chipped up. Yeah. Ty, I don't know. Maybe you did something inappropriate and got banned. We'll have to figure that out. Not a Miss Pac-Man, definitely not a Gorf. But okay, so what do I want to do? What do I want to accomplish this evening? Well, I would have to go up on my ladder. I want to work on the battle zone a little bit while people are filing in. There's some cleaning up I want to do in here real quick. This is not a cleaning episode, but I want to put the monitor back into the cabinet. But maybe we'll do that. I don't know. There's, I showed in the pickup episode, there was a little mini filter capacitor, so a little ceramic disc capacitor on the monitor chassis that like exploded into flames. It was clearly on fire. It was all burnt up. There was soot on a couple of resistors, and one of the big filter caps was all charred up and stuff. And if you look in here, it looks like there were sparks, right? So that's the only. It almost looks like there was a fireworks sparkler in here, and the only thing I can imagine is that was from that capacitor that would have been like up here. Maybe it popped and whatever. And it's a miracle that this little loose piece of paper, just a single piece of tape holding it onto the cabinet, that wasn't burnt up. So we can maybe clean that up a little bit. I don't want to just spray Simple Green into there because I don't want it to get on that little piece of paper. So grab a rag and probably just spray it onto the rag. And again, hopefully there's not too much noise in the background. It is super, super humid out here in the garage. I just was out here, kind of getting ready, and sorry I was 5 minutes late. But every time I do a live stream from the garage, I have to come out and run Ethernet across my kitchen and warn everyone in the house and put up chairs because it's like a huge tripping hazard. And get everything all set up, and then I had the staple gun with my air compressor, and I was running all around, and it was getting hot. So I've got the fan on, but it's on the other side of the garage, so get some airflow going. Put another shirt on so I'm not all sweaty. But that's looking better. So go like that. You guys are all guessing on what this cabinet is. It's not a Stratovox. It's not a Gyrus. How's that look? Keep the guesses coming. I mean, I'll tell you what it's not. Yeah, not a Miss Pac. It was. It's funny, right? It's not exactly something that was on my list. I I mean, kind of, but not really. And, you know, once you find out what it is, that explanation will sort of make sense. So I'm going to grab the monitor here, which I still need to clean um, the face of it. But this just slides in like this, and there's a nice ledge that it sits on. Okay, we'll try to line it up with the hole so I can drop the bolts in. And again, this is a Geo 5802, so an Electrohome 19-inch black and white vector monitor, and it's got this blue overlay for Red Baron, just to add a little bit of color to it, so it's not just black and white, kind of like Asteroids. And I'll go ahead and spin this around now that I got a couple of carriage bolts sort of holding it in place. And I kind of have another surprise too, how come that's not, here we go. Go down a little bit. I got another surprise too that I filmed an unboxing of, and it's related to Red Baron. We may get to show off that surprise in this episode, but we'll see. You know, I'll go for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours if people are still watching. We got plenty of stuff we can do here. Let's see. So there's the inside of the Red Baron, which looks actually quite nice. This game was in great condition. Again, I picked this up last month, I think. It was the first pickup of 2025. Some kind of estate sale, I believe. Great price. There was a lot of like pinballs and other things, and everything was super high price except for this, which I imagine was inexpensive because it wasn't working and it was missing the joystick. But we'll grab one of those someday, I'm sure. But let's see if I can find where these carriage bolts drop in. Okay. So Charles is asking if the blue on the monitor is an overlay or a film. It's kind of thick. So it's a lot thicker than like what's on the Battlezone Cabaret, which is really just like a film, like a cellophane film. This is quite thick. It sort of reminds me of what was on my Armor Attack, if that makes sense to anyone. So we'll grab some bolts. I'll just throw a couple of the bolts in just to make sure the monitor is kind of secure in there. Just hand tighten them. Yeah, Frog Puppet saying it's odd that a joystick would go missing on an otherwise complete game. But Red Baron joysticks are weird. They're sort of from the outside, from the top, they look like a Battlezone joystick. From the underside, they look like Food Fight, and so those joysticks are kind of notorious for breaking. They use the same kind of bellow, or what's it called? Is it a bellow or a centering? Kind of. It's not really a grommet. What do they call it? A bellow, like a rubber kind of disc. And they tear up, and the gimbal part breaks too. So there's two. I'll just put all of them in. There's two major points of failure on those joysticks. So it could have been that, the owner pulled it out because it was busted, and was waiting on replacement parts or something, and sadly passed away, and the executor of the estate had no idea. And I even asked him, like, hey, is there a joystick for this lying around everywhere? And they said that they didn't see one, but Arcade Jason has made reproductions in the past, so maybe I'll be able to convince him at some point to make one for me. I think he has stopped doing that, but I might be able to convince him. I'm reaching in just to kind of hold the carriage bolt in place while I hand tighten the nut. But yeah, so the monitor's back in. I did a whole cap kit, tested the transistors. Everything looked good. So it's back in there, and where is the connector for it? It's right here. So that's ready to go. That's ready to be plugged back in and tested. But we're not just going to do that. We're going to be responsible and bring this game up the right way. So Andrew B on the Claw forums, you know, vector guy, well-known member, he wrote up this whole thing about how to bring up a Atari game in unknown working condition. And so we're going to follow that step-by-step process. It involves, you know, checking the fuses and testing the AR2 power supply and the big blue and making sure all the voltages are safe before we plug the game board in. And then we want to see the game board playing blind before we hook up the monitor. And this being a vector game, we'll probably get you know, things are looking good. I'll grab my analog oscilloscope and we'll look at the game running on the scope before we hook it up to the monitor. But what I want to do before I do any of that is replace the 2N3055 bottle cap transistor that's in the AR2, just because those are, you know, can go bad catastrophically, and it's always a good idea to replace those if they are the original, and this one is. This game, I think, has seen very little, if any, work ever, you know, done on it. One of the indications of that is the zip ties are still holding the harness onto the edge connector. So let's grab a screwdriver. All right, we got a $1.99 million super chat donation, which is number 10, so we're halfway to our goal. A donation from Cameron Cardwell, channel member, and a buddy of mine. He's been very, very helpful to me. Says, can't wait to see it, see this game fully functional. So hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. The episode coming up this weekend on the channel is all about the monitor. So we might, if we're lucky, things are just flying along. By the end of this episode, if the game is working and it looks good on the scope, we might just hook it up to the monitor. We'll go for it, right? You only live once. So there was originally like a piece of like card stock sort of paper that would have covered part of this. And sometimes there's like something over here too, but there's like paper that covers up stuff. So, so here, look at this. We're seeing a little bit of, I can't even see what I'm doing. So we're seeing a little bit of, you know, heat, maybe. That's not a shadow. The heat sink was hot, I think. And so the board is just a little bit toasty right there. Otherwise, I think it looks in pretty good overall condition. But if we look at the date stamp on that bottle cap transistor, if it'll focus, that says 2N3055, which is the, you know, component name, right, or part number, and it says 8052, which means this transistor was manufactured in the 52nd week of 1980, so the last week of 1980. But anyway, let's get this on the workbench, and we'll take our camera around. Hopefully you're not getting all sick from that. I feel like I panned really quickly there. Sorry for any of you that are sensitive to that kind of stuff. Okay, and I can drop. Hey, all right, we got a couple more regulars in right now. We got Encore's Arcade. Thanks, Josh, for watching. And Papa Sean 69, channel member, tubing in from Peterborough, Ontario, as always. I'm just getting the extension cord from the ceiling. Come on. It doesn't want to. There we go. Didn't want to lock into place. It's got this automatic retracting thing. Producer Sean, who's in my headset right now, he found it on sale at Harbor Freight not too long ago. We turn on the soldering iron, and it works great. I've got it mounted to the ceiling in the garage. It's plugged into an outlet that one of the garage door openers is connected to, and it's out of the way, and that's a different circuit that everything else is in the garage on. So I think the only things that are on that circuit are the garage door openers, so I don't have to worry about, you know, what do you call it, the fridge that's out here having an issue or anything. So that's a little 20 amp circuit I can just tap into real easily. Ty's asking if the discoloration could be heat. It could be the aluminum wrapping with the copper. I don't know, man. I don't know. It looks a little toasty. Looks like heat to me, but what do I know? All right, let's get this transistor replaced. And sorry, I'm doing this all in real time, so if I don't say anything for a minute or two, or I'm huffing and puffing, awkward transitions, it's because of that. So let's see. We'll go like this. We'll put a little bit of flux on. I've got my Kester 186 flux pen that I like, and we will put some fresh solder on to help melt and flow, come on, the old solder. All right. There we go. And I'll come in with my Vampire solder sucker, which I've been using. My hands are dirty. So much more than my desoldering gun, which I still like, but that thing, requires lots of maintenance. And I mean, this thing jams up sometimes too, like it just did, but it did this the other I think on last month's, what is going on with this thing? On last month's members only live stream. But we'll get it. And I have another one too. These are so cheap that they're almost disposable. So, and these are nicer than the older style, I think, like solder pulp, just because I like how you actuate it better. All right, welcome Command the Line and General Strife. Thanks so much for coming out. Let's see if this one is. Go ahead. Yeah, I own yours, Ty. You gifted it to me. I don't know. I didn't like the action as much. Yeah, Sean was just saying different strokes for different folks. That's right. I can't wait to hear what Ty thinks about what I tagged him on in a couple of posts on Clove today. Don't worry, it's nothing offensive, but potentially technologically controversial. Okay. All right, there we go. See, that's what happens when it comes out nice and clean from the solder sucker. That's what you want to see. All right, I think, and for some reason they bent over the legs on the transistor. All right, that looks good. We do, however, require a screwdriver to remove the transistor. because that holds it in place. So Sean's asking me, when do I decide to switch up between the skill and the Bosch? So the skill is anytime I'm doing anything near a PCB, I'm going to use this screwdriver. This has very, very little power, which you want because you don't want to over torque things and break stuff, whatever. And you can actuate it from any angle because it's almost like a motorcycle, like throttle, both to go forward or reverse. And you can reach places, and it's great. It's USB rechargeable. I like this a lot. I've got this. Where did I even put it? Over by the cabinet. I've got this Bosch cordless screwdriver, like a bigger, heavier duty kind of thing. This is actually quite strong. You can even use this as a light drill. I got this, I think, as a Secret Santa gift from Enclave. Was it this past year? And I'm using that more than like my Ryobi. But it's quite strong, and I think it has a bit of an electromagnetic field to it. So I don't ever want to use it near something running because it'll mess with stuff. Let's use the Chemwick and just clean up this pad a tiny bit, or both of them actually. But I like both of them quite a bit. So. So we have a question from General Strife in the live chat saying he picked up an NFL Blitz cabinet and wants to know if he can replace the power supply. Does that use? I imagine that Blitz probably uses an ATX style power supply. So depending on the specific model that it came with, either it'll be as simple as just buying a new one and sticking it in, or you might have to do some messing with the Molex connectors, because there are some of those, and those games are newer than I typically mess with. Some of those, and I got to relight my citronella candle. That's not going to work with the wind. If it's a Peter Chow, but again, is it a ATX style or more of like the here's another way of asking it. Does it look like this? Is it like this, or does it look more like a computer power supply? If it looks like this, yeah, you can just buy another one of these. Make sure it has the outputs that you need. Most games use +5, -5, and +12. Some games use like -12. Some games use like a 24 volt, whatever. So if it looks like this, you can buy another one just like this. The order of the terminals might be different, so don't just put the wires in at the same spot. Look at the labels and make sure that whatever's going to +5 goes to +5, ground to ground, because they might be in a different order. But if it looks more like a bigger box with wires coming out of it, you got to figure out exactly what model that is. And some of them are still manufactured and still available, but others are not, and you either need to make some sort of adapter or change some Molex wires or something. So yeah, if it looks like this one, very, very easy. You can buy one that looks just like this. There's also the Madewell ones that I like for, like if it's just for home use, like these are great. The Madewell ones I'll often put into a game that's going to be on location. So okay, so here's our original bottle cap transistor, 2N3055 with an 8052 date code for the 52nd week of 1980. And here is our new one here, 2N3055, and it says 2010 LF, so it's a different style of date code. But this other means 2010. No, I think that means the 10th week of 2020. So, 5-year-old bottle cap transistor. I've got a new sill pad on it, so we're not going to reuse the old one because it's a little bit melted onto the, I don't know, it's kind of stuck. And this is a newer one, so we'll go with new. And one thing you got to look for is these do have a polarity, right? So if you look closely, and maybe it might be hard to see on camera, but the legs, the leads of this are closer to this end than they are to this end. They're not dead set in the middle. And similarly, the way the holes are in here are match that. So you don't want to try to force this in upside down. It would actually be very difficult with this type of installation to get it on the wrong way. But we'll just go ahead and line this up and get it in. And this is where I would do a little cut because it's taken more than a second or two. There we go. And so we've got that in there like that. I'll kind of hold it in place and drop the screws in. Okay. And this is the, they call it a power transistor. But if this thing fails, it can send not great voltages to your PCB and mess up your PCB. So if you're ever working on any kind of power supply, and most commonly with these, they're in AR1s, AR2s from Atari, and you have an original, even if it hasn't failed yet, it's a good practice to go ahead and replace it. So, and I didn't come with that. I learned that from gurus who have come before me. So these screws just kind of hold it in place, so you don't have to over crank them or anything like that. And we'll come in here and make our actual electrical connection with solder. Charles Klein says the screws go the other way. I don't think it matters, but this is how it was, I think, when I pulled it off, right? Or did I screw that up? I think you're right, Charles. Well, let's fix that. Let's fix that. You are right, Charles. And how could one Charles ever question another? So I'm going to go with what you said. And I will reflow that solder that I just did too, because I don't want to potentially put stress on it to cause a cold solder joint from screwing down the screws. But we'll get there. Okay. That's a lot of stuff going to the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show. Two 26-foot trucks. Is that just of your stuff, or are you going around and picking up games from other people too? That's really cool. Yeah. I've never really gone to... Go ahead, Sean. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, I've never been to a show like that. I want to, the closest one to me, the two closest to me are probably PinFest, which I think is in York, Pennsylvania. And that was just a week or 2 weeks, something like that ago. The problem, though, is that's in the spring when my kids have games, and, I try to be a good dad and be there for my kids. And the other one that's close is MagFest, which is music and games. Liam and Sam from Retrobotics go to that pretty frequently. I think they've been involved with organizing, or at least have volunteered there. But that one is like super loud, and I don't think it's extremely child friendly. So, that I couldn't bring my kids to that one. Anyway, I want to get to CAX someday. And the Northwest Pinball one I've heard great things about. Southern Fried Gaming Expo. There's something in isn't it Louisville, a big one? And what's the big one in Portland? PGRE, right? So maybe I'll get a chance to go to those someday. And hopefully, what's the one they were doing in Phoenix or Tucson? They had a nice one. That's got some dust on it. Maybe we'll clean that off real quick. I know, like Zapcon, yeah, that's the one that Dell's Arcade would often go to. I think he was involved, maybe with volunteering or promoting it. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. Just cleaning off gently or roughly some of this dust. And I know Jeff Kinder has been like a volunteer for CAX. So I think he lived in California for a bit, even though he's from New Jersey and lives in New Jersey. I've been to his house a bunch of times. I've been to Dell's house a couple times too. But Jeff is involved with CAX. And I think I think this was before Jeff started his YouTube channel, I think the first time I ever saw the extremely beautiful and handsome Jeff Kinder was in an episode of John's Arcade, where John was kind of doing a tour of CAX, and Jeff was there helping out, setting up games, I think. So, and of course, Jeff for years ran the Dragon's Lair project on website, right? So, okay, where's my drill? Okay, and I'll probably actually use the skill for this, because again, it's a PCB. Okay, so we're just mounting this back into the cabinet. It's funny, there's grommets, backside grommets on top, but then I knock off the lower ones. Hold on a second here. There's supposed to be grommets on both sides, and I lost. Here, there's another upper one. Grab a flashlight. Hopefully I didn't make some kind of boneheaded move. I don't see them. I don't think they fell off. That's weird that they would be on the top but not the bottom, though. Huh! Again, this is where I would, if I wasn't doing this live, I would stop recording, and spend 20 minutes searching for them on the floor, and then another 30 minutes, going online, and then another 30 minutes, doing some looking it up, and then another 30 minutes of going back and watching the video to confirm, nope, there was never any. Okay. Charles says there should not be any lower or rear grommets because it kind of sits up against the wood. So, thanks, Charles. You make me feel better. Thanks for looking out for me, bro. Okay, and we'll get this one in. Oh, of course, drop it. I can't see where it is. So General Strife is asking about replacement wood for a PCB mount kind of thing. I don't know if there's necessarily a perfect answer to that. For that kind of situation, I'm just going to use scrap, like whatever I've got handy. Wood has not been exactly cheap lately, and I wouldn't want to spend like $30 to just have a little piece of trim wood. So I'd probably just grab whatever's available. If you got plywood, if you got hardwood, that's great. If not, choose whatever. Especially a piece like that no one's ever going to see. Okay. Make sure these are nice and snug, but not over cranked, which again is a nice feature of this underpowered USB screwdriver. Okay. And now we'll plug it all back in. And again, I really want to thank Sean for being the producer in my ear. Sean is monitoring the live chat, making sure the spam bots are dealt with extreme prejudice. He keeps the peace, and yeah, just keeps everything going well. So now we'll get to some testing. Okay, I'm just going to move over to my cheat sheet here. So I'm following, hang on a sec. So I'm following a checklist. I'm going to grab some water. Checklist that Andrew B put together. Basically, you know, if you're powering up a Atari game in unknown condition for the first time, there's kind of a step-by-step checklist on what you can do to test things in stages. All right. So step one, hold on. Here we go. Little Topo Chico. All right, and I've been handed a note that we've got another $1.99 million super chat donation from Cameron Cardwell. Thank you, Cameron. I really appreciate that, buddy. And that puts us more than halfway towards our goal. We've got a goal this evening of 20 live chats of any amount. I think the lowest is $1, and I will unveil a mystery game and we'll do some gameplay. So that could be fun. So go ahead. So Wango Tango's asking about a Red Baron. He's got a Red Baron. It's now playing blind. The controls went weird, and then some of the graphics went weird, now blind. So potentially 3 different issues, at least 2. So with the controls went weird, I imagine it could be a physical breakdown of the joystick. It's got this gimbal thing. And is it called a baffle? Or it's not a baffle, it's what is it? Let me look it up real quick. Arcade shop. Bellow. It's a centering bellow. So that could be messed up. The gimbal parts could be messed up. Whoa. The gimbal just died on the camera. We'll fix that real quick. So it doesn't like the angle that I'm shooting at. So, but we'll show it who's boss. So it could be that. So it could be physical damage to the joystick or the, I think they're 5K potentiometers. Could be an issue with that. So that's potentially problem number 1. Let's see. You said problem number 2 was the controls, then some of the graphics went weird. So that could either be a board issue or a monitor issue. And a lot of things could be causing a board issue, including a voltage problem. So it could be actual problem with the board, or a problem with the voltages going to the board, or a problem with the monitor. And then lastly, the graphics went now blind. So that could also be a board issue or a monitor issue. So you guys have probably heard me talk about this in the past. You know, unlike raster games, like normal, you know, games like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, whatever, that draw like a typewriter, and there's, you know, sprites and pixels and whatnot. Vector games, you know, obviously draw beams directly on the screen, and there's a much tighter coupling between the game board and the monitor. So rather with a raster game, it's just sending essentially a video signal to the monitor. telling it what to draw. A vector PCB is sending like voltages that are directly driving the beams on the monitor. So the graphics getting weird and then going out could be the monitor was getting funky, and then or the PCB was getting funky, and then either it cut out or it got so bad that the monitor interpreted that as an invalid input and triggered the spot killer to prevent damage to the monitor. Or it could be entirely a monitor issue. Maybe a transistor was starting to go bad, was going marginal, which was causing graphical issues, and then shorted out entirely, and that popped a fuse or did something else. So could be a bunch of different stuff. Wango Tango. My advice would be to just do a bunch of searching on Claw for issues with that, and find some guidance on how to go step by step with that. The steps that I'm following here would actually be kind of helpful, and I will link to that. The steps that I'm following. I'll put that in the live chat right here. So hey, thanks for stopping by, Command the Chat. So even though that's for a missile command game, and the last step will be a little bit different because it's a vector monitor, most of that will get you through the process of checking things, checking voltages and fuses. Logan Lapointe with a $2 million super chat donation. Logan says, keep up the good work, thanks very much. And that puts us at 12 out of 20 to hit our goal. So anyway, so speaking of that checklist that I just linked, we're going to start following that. And again, thank you to Andrew B on the Claw forums for writing this up. I'm also going to turn off my soldering iron so I don't accidentally burn myself by bumping into it. So first step is to unplug the game board and monitor before powering it up for the first time. So the monitor is already unplugged, and here is, I got to change the view on OBS so I can see what I'm showing you guys. So here is the plug that goes to the monitor, and with this type of vector monitor, it's just a single 12-pin plug. This provides power to the monitor. This also provides video to the monitor, so that's disconnected, and we'll tuck that out of the way for now so it can't cause any problems. And then we need to disconnect the game boards. On Red Baron, we have the vector generator board and they call it the aux board up here, each of which has an edge connector that plugs into the harness, and these are currently held in place with some zip ties that I think are, reusable. So we'll just undo these. These zip ties are nice because they, really hold the edge connector on nice and snug. So if you're transporting the game, whether you're moving it just from one side of a room to another or putting it on a truck, it's less likely that it's going to become disconnected. So let me get this undone. It's funny. May the 3rd, I think, is when I brought the Star Wars game over to Mark's Arcade, the one that I'd rebuilt the Amplifone monitor and got that working. When we transported it and we got it to his arcade, Mark took it in his truck, and we turned it on. I really probably should have opened it up and looked in the back before we turned it on, because it was working but there was no sound. And we opened the thing up, and sure enough, the soundboard had become disconnected, and fortunately did not short anything out, because that could have been bad news, especially with a not cheap game like Star Wars. So always a good idea to open up a cabinet and see what's going on. All right, so those are not making contact whatsoever. And I'll hold them here just to kind of keep an issue from happening. All right, and hey, we're over 40 viewers. And this was Sean's idea, guys. So last time we did a live stream last week to celebrate recently passing 6,000 subscribers, and we are right around, let me double check, we're at 6,300 right now. So 6,300 subscribers. So thank you guys for all your support. And we set a goal, a super chat donation goal with that one to, if we had met our goal, I would do another live stream this week. So now we're making good on that. And I was asking Sean, because he's my producer, he's in my ear, he's in the live chat, help me out. What should I do? What format? Should I just do another gameplay one in the basement? I just did that. It's not like the games are not changing week to week. So would people enjoy that, or would they find that boring and repetitive? Or maybe I can, work in the garage, grab a extra light in here, do a repair thing. And that was his idea. So it seems to have gone well. So thank you, Sean. Watch me sweat my you-know-what off. All right. A little extra light in here. How are we going to hook this on? I want it angling down, but not tipping over and hitting anything. Okay, I think that'll work. So let's do this. I want to reach in and grab these fuses and check all of them. We pull the fish paper out of the way. So often this is long gone, but these transformer assemblies came with this little cover, and it looks like, I don't know, like a waxy oak tag kind of, but it's very stiff. And they call this fish paper, just to cover up the fuses to prevent people from shocking themselves. So we should have a 20 amp, a 4 amp, a 4 amp, a 4 amp, and I think this one's supposed to be a 7 amp fuse number 1 over here. So we'll pull that out. And so this is the sort of push style, screw-in style. Let me see if I can catch the light. Yeah, this is 7 amps, so that's good. And we'll put our multimeter on continuity beep and see what we get here. Hopefully you can hear that. That is good. So we'll pop fuse number 1 in. All right. See if I can pull these out by hand. Yeah, there we go. So F3 should be 20 amps. And let's see. Getting old. My glasses are dirty. Let's see. Busman, AGC. I think this is a 25 amp. But I believe that's okay. Yeah. Because I believe there was a field service bulletin to upgrade them to 25, so I read that somewhere at some point. So that fuse is good. Pop that back in. These other 3, oh, come on. Should all be 4 amp. Come on, eyeballs. All right, that is 4 amps. And that's good. Next one. Ah, let's see. That is 4 amps. That one's good. So far, so good. Ah. And this one is, let's see. I got to bring this one into the light. Go ahead, Sean. I think we have a question. Ooh, this is a 5 amp. This is a 5 amp. I'm going to swap that with a 4 amp. Haha, that's why we check. Go ahead, Sean. You got some questions for me? Let's see. Minnesota Fats is asking, I'm assuming that's what Fats stands for. Hello, one of my PlayChoice 10 single monitor sound doesn't work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Amp section on the monitor is a culprit. Possibly, here's how I would, oh, you have a single monitor. If you had a dual monitor, it would be a lot easier to test because you could just swap the monitors, or more easy to swap the the audio cables between them. Do you have another Nintendo monitor that you could just try out? Could you try reseating the connector? That's what I would start with. Does this happen? Like, does it start initially and then cut out? Maybe that could be a heat-related issue, something like that. So a couple different things to try. Hey, Delusionals Arcade is checking in. Del, we are trying to get my Red Baron up and running, and I'm double-checking in the manual here. I was reading this before. I believe it's figure 23 that I'm looking for to indicate what the figure 24. So fuse F6 should be a 4 amp slow blow, which is what I grabbed, but I was just double checking. So I got a new 4 amp, 250 volt slow blow. We found a 5 amp in there, and it was not an original. It was not the same sort of Bussmann normal kind of amp, or normal sort of normal markings that we found on all the others. So I'm just checking them in their fuse holders. So that's good. So there we go. So far we know that our fuses are good. I'll put this fish paper back on. Always nice to have the original. And one thing, I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the camera, one thing that I was a little worried about when I first got this thing, I was like, darn, is that transformer assembly all burnt up? Because like it looks all black and it's on the wires. But apparently some of these, they dipped in paint. And this black that follows up here is sort of where the paint went to when they dipped it into the black paint. And I don't think any of mine look like that. I think I checked some of my other Atari cabinets. But other folks were showing me pictures of theirs, so it was all good. Black paint, not brown paint. Minnesota Fats, no sound at all. Power cycle will sometimes remedy the issue. Interesting. Very interesting. So if that's the case, it's probably not a connection issue. It could be the amp. Could be, are there caps? I can't remember on the Nintendo monitor audio section. There must be caps. Maybe try a cap kit on that. Okay, so going back to our checklist, we have finished step 1, unplug the game board and monitor. We actually jumped ahead to step 4. Okay, we skipped step 2, which is to put the game into free play mode. So let's go double check how to do that. We have 3 sets of dip switches. I'm going to grab my TV adjustment tools that I use as my dip switch activator. So on the top one, we want, I think, everything should be off. That gives us the default self-adjusting game difficulty is on, 1 play minimum. Switch number 5 needs to be on for 3 airplanes per game, and then off for default bonus, and then off for English. So we want switch 5 should be on, and everything else should be off for the first set of dip switches. So that's everything off, and then 5 is on. Okay, so that's good. And then our next one controls pricing, and we want free play. So off, off. So 3 offs, and off, and off. So all of them on this one should be off for free play. All right. So they're all off. Eric Oren, channel member with a $1.99 million super chat donation. Eric says, I like the live game repair. Thank you so much, Aaron. It's a lot of fun. A little bit stressful because I can't stop and look things up smoothly. And that puts us at 13 out of 20 towards our goal. And if we hit 20 super chats this evening, I'm going to unveil a mystery game and we'll do some gameplay, assuming it's still working. All right. And there is a third smaller dip switch, and looks like 2 of the toggles are unused, and if they both should be, so all 4 of them should be off. That's for like multiplying coin counter stuff. All right, we got another $1 million super chat from Billy Bob, getting us to 14. I think Billy Bob's responsible for almost 10 of these so far. All right, all of these are off. So thank you, Billy Bob. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody. Everyone for watching. This is fun. All right. So step 1, unplug the game board and monitor. Done. Step 2, put the dip switches into free play mode. That's just something to make your life easier. So you don't have to worry about trying to activate the credit switches, the coin switches, to start a game and play, get it to at least play blind, because, you don't know if that wiring is working. You don't know if those, coin mechs are working. So, isolate problems when you're testing stuff. All right, so we did that. Step 3 is before powering anything, inspect the inside of the cab. Look for mice nests, chewed wires, or anything else electrical that doesn't look right. So I could probably stand to do a little bit more vacuuming in here, but this thing is really, really in great shape. There was some like pieces of carpeting in here that I don't really understand why. And the only thing that's weird is they like spliced into, if you can see this, they spliced into, how's that looking? I can't even tell. Sean, you need to fly out and be an in-studio producer so I can really see what's going on. So we got, so this orange wire is like tied into the speaker and goes to a headphone jack. But what I don't understand is, what's the point of that? Because if this is plugged in, like, this ties into the speaker, but it doesn't interrupt it. So does it work normal until you plug in headphones? And then the headphones would, but it would still go to the speaker. So what's the point? I don't know. Any audio engineers out there in the crowd might be able to answer that question. Cough, cough. All right. So we got the board unplugged. The dip switches are on free play. There's also this interconnect cable that goes in between. To me, this looks a little bit like Tempest. Tempest is a bit different, but I think I was looking into this today and I was trying to get a straight answer. I believe Red Baron was Atari's final black and white vector game, and Tempest was the first color one. I could be mistaken. I think Red Baron was May of '81 and Tempest was October of '81. I don't think Atari did any vector games in between those two, but if I'm wrong, somebody let me know. All right, going back to the checklist here. Okay. Dell says we need a live tube swap vid next. Hey, if it's just a drop-in swap, that's not hard at all. I don't think I've ever swapped a yoke. I think I've adjusted a yoke, but I don't think I've ever swapped a yoke. Not something I'm looking forward to. All right, we did step 4, test the fuses on the power brick using your multimeter. Remove each fuse, test it for continuity, and make sure it's the correct rating. So that's all good. And now, step 5, if all checks out, leave the game board and monitor unplugged and power the cab on. And then what we'll do from there on step 6 is measure the +5 volts DC on the AR2 board using the AR's plus sense and ground test points. Again, with the game board unplugged. and adjust it to 5 volts using the pot on the AR. So let me, before we plug it in, let me pre-position my multimeter. And I have my trusty Fluke 117 that I almost just broke the little kickstand on. And I've got these Fluke alligator clip things that plug onto the probes. And this is the second set that I've had. The first ones that I had were the older style, and they eventually like wear out, right? Like you actuate the alligator clip enough times and it gets bent. But these are nice because they have a little extra rubber on the top and bottom of the jaws of the alligator clip, so it makes it less likely to accidentally touch something and short it out if you don't mean to. So sense and ground on the, that's minus sense. Let me get my flashlight, not just this little rinky-dink solar-powered nonsense. Move the chair out of the way. Here's the flashlight. Okay, so there's ground. That's negative sense. There's positive sense. And I am not a proponent necessarily of the sense mod. If that's what you like to do, I don't think less of you. Okay, there's no shame in that. But I prefer the just keep your edge connector clean, and these don't even look like they need to be cleaned. This is like you could eat off this stuff. So this game, it does have plenty of coins on the counter, but this game has either been home use only or was just incredibly well cared for by its previous owner. All right, we are on the correct test points, and we'll make sure that everything is in frame. All right, random pixelated Billy Bob with a $2 million super chat. This is probably definitely his 10th one at least, saying his card is definitely getting flagged for this. So we're now at 15, only 5 to go to see the mystery game. Hey, maybe we'll see 2 games running this evening. Fingers crossed. So, okay, what we're doing now is we are testing the AR2 without the gamer monitor plugged in. So digital multimeter is connected to the plus sense and ground test points on the AR2, and we're looking for 5 volts DC when we turn this on. And if it's not at 5 volts, we'll dial it into 5 volts, and then we'll later adjust it with the load from the game PCB. But if it's way off, like 12 volts or some nonsense like that, well, then we'll be lucky that we didn't do any of this with the game board plugged in. So grab the extension cord, and we will plug in. Let me look at this cord. Oh, it's kind of sticky, and it's short, but I don't see any issues with the plug. No obvious signs of damage or fraying, so we'll plug it in. This might be, well, if nothing else, I got the interlock switch. The one on the front has a little thing that's keeping it on, but okay, the cabinet is plugged in, and we'll throw this switch and then pull the interlock. All right, I think the switch was already on. There we go. All right, so it's a good sign. We're at 5.18, which would probably be okay. But let me do this. Let me turn it off and grab the, I don't want to break this thing though. There's some hot glue. Let's see if I can grab it with. All right. We got a $2 million super chat donation from channel member Frog Puppet saying this is extortion. Nobody's forcing you to do any of this. I just thought it would be a fun little bit of suspense. You guys are going to see the game one way or another eventually. So what I'm just doing now is, I kind of don't really need to do this, but the pot that, I'm worried about damaging it. I'm trying to pull the, here we go, the little bit of hot glue that was on that pot on the AR2 that controls the voltage. So we're turning it back on, and let's turn this down a little bit to right around 5 volts on the nose. Okay, that's the wrong direction. Okay. That looks pretty good. All right, we'll turn it off, and we'll switch over. We'll check the next item on the list. So that was step 5, which is testing the 5-volt DC coming off of the AR2 and dialing it into basically 5 exactly, which is great. So that's good. Step 7, also measure the AC voltage on the 10.3 DC test point on the AR. Yes, you want to measure AC on the DC test point. If the voltage is less than half a volt, your big blue is fine. So this is basically testing the big blue capacitor, which is that thing right there, can-shaped. Why is this thing dying on me? Maybe I'll go like this. It's not really adding much light. That's a filter cap, right? So this transformer assembly does a bunch of stuff. It has fuses, it has an isolation transformer, but it's not just an isolation transformer, it's also a step-down transformer. There's a bridge rectifier on the underside. There are plugs for, or maybe this one doesn't have them. Usually there's a bunch of extra plugs for like international voltages, like 240 volts and whatever. But that big blue capacitor is filtering out AC ripple from the DC voltage. So if you're seeing more than half a volt of AC on the AR2, that means your big blue is not doing its job, which could be bad for the PCB. So let me grab my flashlight again, and we will move our red or positive lead from the multimeter to the 10.3 connection, which is right here. All right. So that looks good. I'm going to leave it on DC for now just to show you what it looks like. So we're turning it on, and it's almost 13, which is actually fine because that's an unregulated voltage. 10.3 is unregulated. Basically, if it's at least 10.3 and not, double, you're doing okay. Because it's an unregulated voltage. So if we switch to AC volts, hopefully it's less than half a volt. And it's less than 1/10 of a volt. It's actually less than 1/20th of a volt. So the big blue looks like it's doing its job, so we'll turn that off again. So that's a good sign. I do have, I always keep an extra big blue on hand in case something goes wrong. So that's good. The AC voltage on the big blue is testing good. That was step 7. Then says, as a note, if either of the above are not okay, meaning the 5 volts DC or the AC ripple, if either of the above are not okay, do not proceed further and report back here, because you've got some issue either on your transformer assembly or on your power supply, or maybe with the wiring, something like that. But we're good, so we can proceed. We're getting close here. All right, says else power down the cab, plug the game board in, and power back up. Leave the monitor still unplugged for now. And because we are want to be listening for sound, I don't know if I have like wired headphones handy that I could plug in. And it looks like it's a big, it's like it's not the little mini plug that most headphones use now. It's almost like a guitar amp, whatever the bigger headphone size is. I think I might have an adapter like in a box of random wires. So we're going to go back. So once we do that, step 9 will be to measure 5 volts again on the AR2 from the 5 volt and ground test point. So not from the sense, but from the 5 volt and ground test points. So we'll move our multimeter lead to the 5 volt, which is, there's ground, speaker sense, is it down here? Or this is the one where you're supposed to grab it off of a um, cap. My big head's probably in the way. Where is it? Let's get low. Step on a spider. There's -5, +12, +22, -22, 36 volt AC. I don't see the +5. Somebody chiming in and reminding me if it's a cap we're supposed to grab it from. Still there with me, Sean? Check it on the edge. I could do that, but I can't clip it onto the edge. I could do it from the sense, right? Cameron with another $1.99 million super chat donation. Cameron says, show me the money, or show Charlie the money. So me, yeah. Well, thank you, Cameron. We're getting close to that goal. So let me double check. There is, I know, a point where you can grab it from one side of the, one of the capacitors. Let me just look that up real quick. Okay. AR2 5-volt test capacitor. And hopefully one of my results will be from Andrew. The AI results are wrong. Let me see. Okay. I'm limiting my Google search to Clav. Okay. Measure 5 volts on the plus side of cap C1. Okay. Yeah, the proper way to test an AR is to measure the 5 volts using the positive side of cap C1. Okay. C1. And I know what you're saying, Charles. I want to do this sort of with the alligator clips. C19, C9, C1 right there. Okay. C1 is right here. So we're going to look for 5 volts there. Once we plug in the game boards. Okay. Hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. Bald spot? Nah. I'm losing my hair in the front, not the back. Okay. Just trying to feed this thing through. All right, guys. It is moment of truth time. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off the fan so that we can hear what's going on. I'm going to take the headphone off of one of my ears. Let's see. I'm going to center the volume pot. So I think this has one. Yeah. Right here. Yeah, this is the test switch and this is the volume pot. So that's all the way to the right, all the way to the left, all the way to the right. Here we go. That's in the middle. And everyone, cross your fingers. We want to hear something. I mean, we might have to adjust the 5 volts, but all right, I'm going to take a sip of water while we're all in suspense here. Yeah, Charles, that was the fan. Charles and Frog. You know, the fan is the sound effect for the biplane. That's it. All right, we are at 17 out of 20, and here we go, pulling the interlock switch. Let's see. Let's hear something maybe if it boots. We might have to crank up the voltage a little bit to get that, but here we go. 3, 2, 1. That looks good. I got 2 LEDs. I didn't hear any sound. I don't have it in test mode. I'm going to leave that right there for the voltage. Oh, I don't have buttons hooked up. Okay, I don't have buttons hooked up. So how am I going to start a game? All right, coin door lights work. The original marquee light works. How do I start a game without buttons attached? That's a bit of a issue, isn't it? Maybe I can put it in. All right, let's. I'm going to put it into test mode and see if we hear anything. Did I hear something? I don't know if I heard a pop. Let me reboot it in test mode. I'm hearing a pop out of the speaker. The game might be running, but I don't know. And I don't have a way of hooking up a button. Let me think about this for a second. I'm going to turn the fan back on so Charles and Will can have their biplane propeller sound effect. And Sean's telling me there's something cool going on in the live chat. Here we go. Hired Gun channel member with a $1 million Canadian super chat, and then a $2 million Canadian super chat, and then another $2 million Canadian super chat, which puts us at 20. Guys, we hit our goal, so you're going to get a little extra bonus coming up in a few minutes. So let me hear what you guys want. Do you want to take a break from the Red Baron and unveil the mystery game? Or should I grab the oscilloscope real quick and we can see what the game is doing? Because we're kind of at the end of the checklist. You know, if the 5 volts looks good and I don't even have a start button to flash, so I couldn't start a game. The game should play blind, so I don't have any sound. So here's the choice. We can either hook up the scope and see if Red Baron's running, or before that we can do the mystery game. And I think I'm gonna let Billy Bob choose because, you know, 10 or so of these super chats came from random Billy Bob. So put your guesses in, and then Billy Bob will decide if we unveil the mystery game right now, or if we wait a couple minutes and hook up the scope first. So let me grab the ladder so I can grab my scope, because that's up top. Still with me, Sean? All right. Charles is saying put it in test and hit the coin switch. Will that do it if it's in free play? I'll try that real quick. All right. It is in test. Let's turn it on. All right, voltage still looks good. And hit the... I'm hearing something from the speakers. It's distorted though. So that's good. Maybe if I... Now it's running the test. There's um, there's no button on the service panel. So on the service panel, I've only got a volume knob, and then there's the test switch on the coin door. But if you guys can hear this, listen. Oh, here we go. So you hear this popping. Now you're not hearing it. So that's the credit switch. And I heard sound effects for a second, which is both good and bad. Like it was not doing what it's supposed to do. Maybe it's trying to advance the test. So something's working. There is some logic running. We did get some sounds. So it's playing blind-ish. Billy Bob, have you decided what we're going to do or the order in which we're going to do stuff? Let Charles see the scope. Okay, let's grab the scope. Okay. I'm climbing my ladder. I don't really want you guys to see this. If you see a big, huge shadow falling, somebody call my wife and tell her to check on me. All right. I got too much stuff way up here. I got to come down the ladder to put something down, which is my digital scope, because I want to use the analog scope because I'm more comfortable doing that. That Rigel digital scope was an awesome gift from my channel members. All pitched in and got me that for Christmas. That was awesome of all you guys. Okay. Something fell. Oh, I see it. This. Okay. This is crumbly. I think this might have been part of the. Yeah, here's another bit of it. Maybe this was part of the foam. It's all crumbly. So that's nothing to worry about, I don't think. Is that what you were talking about, Marky Mark? I don't see anything that could have been. Cool. Let's hook up the scope. So I'll reposition things a little bit here, like this. And okay. Maybe I blew the speaker. Who knows? Okay, let me find my outputs. So there's X out, and there's Y out. There's a ground. Maybe I'll put them both on the same ground. Okay. Open up this box that's got my scope in it. I taped this, didn't I? Yeah, okay. All right. This is my Tektronix 2246 100 megahertz analog oscilloscope. And I'll move that a little bit so you can maybe get a chance of seeing the game on that. And I need my power cord right here. And I need my scope probes, which are here. Okay. I'm hopeful, guys. I'm hopeful. Oh, that's not the one I want to use. I have a right angle power cord that I use for this. Oh, but it's in, I know where it is. It came from the Rigel scope. And I taped these boxes closed. What was I thinking? Okay. All right. Is Ty still here? All right. So, all right, we got the power for the scope, which I think I want to put on a different outlet. Ooh, I just stepped on a big bug. Oh, what's this? Oh, this is a knob that fell off of the scope. Where does this go? There it is. Channel 4 position. That doesn't matter because we won't use channel 4. What are you saying, Sean? I got to get what on camera? Oh, Sean wants to see me stepping on bugs on camera. Knowing YouTube these days, that might be a community strike. Violence against animals. Okay, here is probe 1. All right. And here is probe 2. It's tangled. Okay. 56 viewers. That's a lot of pressure, guys. I don't know if I can handle this. So XY. So channel 1 gets X. And I'll get my big old head in the way. That's X out. So we'll put ground here. And X out right there. And then channel 2 will be our Y. I think technically I only need to ground one of them, but it doesn't matter. And there's our Y out. So, let's see. How are we looking? Oh, I gotta plug in the scope. Okay. Okay. You guys all living in suspense. Or I know why everyone showed up. They saw that we hit the super chat goal, and we're going to get that bonus mystery game reveal, which should be fun. I got boxes and wires everywhere off camera. Okay. Okay. Scope is plugged in. And let me move the scope a little bit so you guys can see it a bit better. How's that? I can move the camera a little bit better. Okay. Hopefully we'll see something here, but how's that look? That's okay, I think. All right, what do you say, guys? I'll turn on the scope. You see a bug? Where? Oh, the bug that I squished? Yeah. It's like a June bug or something. All right, scope is on, so hopefully we'll see some wireframe biplanes. Turning on the game in 3, 2, 1. All right, we got something. Oh, it cut out for a second. We got test mode, so that's good. I can't read it well enough to know if there's an error. There might be an error. Let me switch it to game mode. Doing that right now. Oh my goodness, guys. Look at that. Free play behind stall. It's jumpy and twitchy. What should I make of that? You see what I'm talking about? All right. And believe it or not, guys, I am not the world's leading expert when it comes to this stuff. So if anyone out there, Charles or Dell or somebody, wants to tell me what to make of that twitchiness of the signal. But I see Red Baron playing on the scope. But what's that? What is it doing? Oh, man. That's just the gimbal bugging out. But there we go. We got Red Baron running. Kind of. Do I dare hook it up to the monitor like that? What do you guys think? All right, I'm going to take a quick 2-minute break and stand in front of the fan to cool down while you guys, oh man, while you guys debate on whether I should hook up. Sean's asking me if I can start a poll. I don't know. But you see how it's jumping and twitching? I don't like that. So yeah, guys chime in. Should I plug this into the monitor as is, or do I need to figure out what's going on with this twitchy signal? Frog Puppet's asking if I checked the frame transistors. So 2 things about that. 1, yes, I did. I mean, I didn't pull them and really test them, but they're not shorted to the frame. And 2, they're on the monitor, and the monitor is not plugged in. So that can't be causing this issue. I'm going to Google really quick. Asteroids jumpy, because there won't be enough results for Red Baron, and it's probably a very similar all right. I'm seeing some things on Claw that talk about it could be the HV diode, but that's assuming it's on the monitor, right? Like a jumpy image when it's on the monitor could be the HV diode. But this is, let me double check. Let me turn this off and double check all my connections. The scope probes. Okay. Just because, you know, if this is not making good contact, I don't want that. I don't want us to be chasing our tails over something like that. Okay. All right, turn the scope back on. Yo Eddie has a good suggestion. Yo Eddie has a good suggestion of cleaning all the socketed chips. That's a very good idea, or at least reseating them. So I'm still seeing this jump. I mean, we're seeing Red Baron like it's drawing the correct vectors, but that's all jumpy. That's all funky. So yeah, I think that's going to be the next step for this game. I'll pull the PCB out. I'll, at a minimum, reseat all the socketed chips. Clean them if they don't look pristine. That's a really good idea. I probably should have done that as a pre thing. But okay, I think we might be done with Red Baron for tonight. But don't worry, don't go anywhere. We got a very special treat for you all. Since you were so generous You guys were all so generous, and you hit our goal of 20 super chat donations. I got a special bonus for you guys, so bear with me while I move the camera, which I know makes. We were talking about this on the Discord. I moved the camera too fast, and people get seasick from it. But I'm just moving things around here. I'm gonna grab the scope out of the way. We're done with that for tonight, and we'll get the multimeter out of here, and that's okay. But we made, I think, progress, right? And hopefully by this weekend's video, which should be hopefully released on Sunday to the public and Saturday for early access by channel members, I'll have everything all figured out and up and running. So, guys, here is the big reveal. Let me get everything framed up here. Okay. It's over here next to our Battlezone Cabaret. And nobody has guessed correctly yet. There are some clues here. There is a lower coin door, which might give you a guess as to the manufacturer. There is a blue here, which it's kind of close to Journey blue, right? Not brown paint, but the marine blue Journey blue paint. But no, this is not Journey. It's not an MCR game. Any final guesses before I pull the the moving blanket? All right, who were saying? Let's see. Oh, we got a bunch of fun guesses here. Gal's Panic, nope. Egg Venture, nope. Whack-A-Mole, Skee Ball, Fun Chicken, Junkyard, Tallywhacker, Computer Space, Tron, Journey, TaxScan, Sly Spy, no. Discs of Tron, Mario, Sonic. No, guys. Charles and Frog Puppet. You guys are right. You guys are right. Voila. How does that look? What do you think? Did I do a good job or what? Did I do a good job or what? How does that look? Let's wheel this sucker on out. Did I do a good job or what? How's that? You guys remember this thing? I know you're probably thinking, Charlie, your Bubbles was totally destroyed by termites. It was falling apart. How could you possibly fix it? Charlie, you're a miracle worker. How is this possible? And guess what, guys? This is my second Bubbles. So this is not the termite Bubbles. It still has the registered trademark sticker on that side. How about this one? Yeah. Oh, Dominic guessed Bubbles at the beginning. But yeah, this is it. This is Bubbles. This is my second Bubbles. So I recently got this in from Mark from Back to the Media Arcade. This Bubbles had been in Back to the Media Arcade for a while, but you know, it's kind of a niche game. You know, for arcade enthusiasts, you know, a lot of us appreciate Bubbles, but your general casual person who's just randomly walking into an arcade, you know, what are they looking for? They're looking for Pac-Man. They're looking for Donkey Kong. And even, you know, to them, more esoteric games would be like Asteroids or Frogger or Centipede. No one's ever heard of Bubbles, right? But Bubbles is an awesome game. It really is an amazing game. And this is done really, really well at Mark's Arcade. This is, I would say, it's sort of restored. I think it might have been converted. I think this paint was covered up and got removed. This is a reproduction bezel. This might be an original marquee. This is a reproduction. Whoops, almost knocked over the Red Baron back door. Reproduction CPO. It's missing the little trim piece, which means the control panel wobbles just a tiny bit, but I might even have a spare one. But this game works, so let me get it set up for us to play. So are you guys excited or disappointed? Is it a letdown? And now it makes sense. I was saying, oh, this is a game that was kind of on my want list, but also not kind of, because I had already gotten one. But yeah, that termite bubbles, I might be looking to trade it away. So if anyone is interested in taking on a very major restoration, I will let that thing go for a song, next to nothing. It didn't cost me nothing. It cost me quite a bit of traveling to get to it, but if anyone is brave enough to take on the challenge of the termite bubbles, you will have my blessing and support. So let me know. I think it is restorable, and I was going to do it, and I might still do it if no one wants to take it on, but let's do this. Let's plug it in. Sean, what are they saying? Are they excited, or are they all like, this is rip-off? Good. Billy Bob says I should turn the termite bubbles into a Sinistar. I don't think I would do that, just because it's, there are so few bubbles out there. Mark has a converted Sinistar that he might not get to, that I might eventually do something with. And especially, hopefully by now, all of you have seen Cinemax's Sinistar documentary, which is incredible. But here we go. We're going to turn this on. 3, 2, 1. All right. Bubbles is springing to life. There we go. Monitor's warming up. I think this monitor needs a little bit of love. And the focus is not great. Let me see what I can do about that real quick. Okay. And this monitor's twitching on me. What gives, Mark? Just turn the lights on and mess with some stuff real quick. I don't think it's dirty. I think it's just the focus is off. All right, did the game just turn off? Because of the interlock? Yeah, okay. Let's do this. We'll grab this. We'll pull the interlock switch. And this is a, this is a 4-pot 4900. And it's been worked on. I might change things a little bit. Let me make sure that's plugged in all the way. And let's adjust the focus. Whoops. I would usually bust out my Dell's Arcade mirror, but I can just barely reach past. There, that looks good for the focus. And we're not twitching. I think we're a little tall, maybe. Vertical size is right here. How's that look? I think that looks pretty good. So let's kill the lights again. All right. You guys came for the Red Baron, and now you're staying for the bubbles. How's that for a double feature? Okay. So we're coming up on 2 hours. I'm getting tangled in packing tape, but we will get set up to play a little bit of bubbles here. And I absolutely love bubbles. I fell in love with bubbles, I think, at an arcade in North Carolina called Stop Button, which I think is more of a pinball and like fighting game focused arcade, but they have a lot of classics too, including a Bubbles that I probably spent an hour on playing for the first time I got it. But anyway, here we go. Let's start a game. Okay, and you play as the eponymous Bubble, and your job is to go around and clean the sink. There's ants, and there's cockroaches, and you can't touch the cockroaches unless, unless you have the brush from the cleaning lady, and I ran into it. You can't go down the drain unless you have a mouth and the drain has gone green, or you can just clean up all the enemies. Oh, we'll play a couple games. But I can definitely get on the drain now because I'm a huge bubble. And I can bump those guys down the drain. And I can kill the big cockroach. Let me bump this guy. And we'll just go down the drain. I get a big bonus. But now we are resetting our bubble. And I can't touch those brushes right now because I don't have a mouth. So I'm not powerful enough. They'll pop me. But now I can. Knocked it down the drain, and I hit the cleaning lady, but not at the right angle, so I didn't get her brush. And now I have... Oh, he just got me. And I can go down the drain once it's green. So who else out there likes bubbles? It has an interesting optical joystick. Is one of them a spider? I thought it was ants and cockroaches. Uh-oh. They're cornering me. Yep. Alright, now I got a mouth. But I didn't get what I needed. I'll run down the drain. There we go. Live to fight another sink. Okay, and this is where they come out. So rather than cleaning up, I gotta sort of play protection here, and eventually the roaches will come out that I'll need to kill. And there we got another brush or broom. Yeah, got him. And we'll just go down the drain and keep rolling. Yeah, Bubbles is just a one joystick game, kind of like, you know, Frogger or Pac-Man. Oh, they got me. And it gets faster and faster and harder and harder. And the high score save feature is not working. Whoops. Forgot. I actually started the game there. Because it's got a switcher. It's all original, except it does have a switching power supply with an adapter, which I believe I have a whole other Williams power setup. So, because I was getting everything ready for my bubbles, collecting parts. I can bump the sponges in. Those are worth 2,000 points, so... Whoops! But you risk doing that. It would be cool if you could knock those sponges into the cockroaches, but I don't think that works like that. How am I down to no lives anymore? But yeah, I'll probably, there's a little bit of cabinet repair to do. Very typical, the bottom of Williams cabinets gets chewed up, so we'll fix that. And right, so Billy Bob's asking if this is going to go in the basement. Absolutely, this is the next game that's ready to go in. I'll probably wait until it and Red Baron are ready to go. But yeah, this is definitely a basement game, 100%. And Charles Klein said he's going to send me another one of the dual wire mods, which would be great. So when I replace the switching power supply that's been put in here with a... Oh! With a... Here, let's do this the right way. But it's not saving the high score. Dell's got a tip of staying closer to the drain to get a multiplier score when you're collecting the crumbs and ants, which is, oh, absolutely correct. And you saw the little red, you know, plus whatever, like C2X right there, that you get bonus points for being very close. All right, let's get one of these. There we go. And we'll knock a sponge in. Or try. Okay. Oh! Yeah, Frog Puppet says, put it in the laundry room. I technically think I would have room in there. It would cover up our coat hooks. Because that's also, like, our laundry room is like the side door to the house. So I don't think the wife would appreciate that, though. And it's not worth the fights. Oh! Here we go. So that cleared the sink by getting all the bad guys, which you don't actually want to do because you don't get a bonus for doing that. So you see how everything's moving faster now? And there's cookie. Are these cookies or what are they? I forget. I feel like they're cookies. All right, we got a mouth. We can bump some guys. Oh, I accidentally got everything. So you leave points on the table when you do that. So you don't actually just want to collect everything. You want to collect almost everything. See that you're a slippery bubble sometimes to control. You want to collect almost everything and then go down the drain. That's how you get bonus points. All right, there's too many. Yeah, the ant got me. There's too many razors over by the cleaning lady. Oh! We'll play one more. Whoops. And you enter just with the joystick. But by hitting enter to enter your high score, it starts a game. So, gotta watch out for that. And I think there's something with the angle on how you get the cleaning lady that determines if you get her broom or not. So you see we get this dive ahead bonus. And I think the multiplier on the dive ahead bonus is based on how big you are. So that's essentially you want to collect as many things as possible while not clearing everything out. Whoops. Oh, look at that. Bubble too small, so I died. Because the sponges will clean stuff up too. So you got to be careful for that. If they take out too many things. Oh, I guess there is a way for me to get pinched by... oh, because when I hit those sponges, it uses up some of my size. There we go. So you got to be careful with that. Dell says you got to get the cleaning lady ASAP, but I think the longer you wait, the more points you get for grabbing the cleaning lady. I'm pretty sure. Alright. Okay. But yeah, this is a fun game. Takes a little bit of getting used to, and it's a silly kind of premise. You know, it wasn't the most successful game in the world because, you know, it was a bad timing to be launching new games. Oops, you got me. You know, with the market kind of crashed for, you know, arcade games. Oh! We'll play one more. Whoops. I keep hitting the button, which starts the game. Because there's only one button. Alright, we got our broom. lost our dive ahead bonus, but that's okay. And I believe the artwork certainly was. I think the game was designed by Python Angelo. I could be wrong. I think Bubbles was, like, Python was the designer, game designer, or at least co-designer, not just for the artwork. Oh, you gotta be careful because you gotta hit the guy with your broom. You can't just, you know, it's an angle. You gotta hit it. You know, it's your sword. It's your weapon. All right, we got it back. Oh. I'll just dive ahead. Live to fight another day. And I think that there's there's some randomness, or there's some kind of there's something where like the bonus levels or something can be out of order, or there's something. Okay. Yeah, so thanks for confirming. Co-designed by Python. Whoops. Okay. Ooh, okay. So there's our last game. We'll put our high score in. But again, it's not saving them between... and I'll just kill myself real quick. Waste all my lives so we can see the high score table. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. Yeah, because I've played this a bunch of times, and you can see there's not stuff listed here. Because it's not running the original power supply. But guys, I got a Bubbles. I got a working Bubbles. It's probably 90% ready to go into the basement. Like I said, I got to put some trim on the control panel. There's a little bit of maybe touch-ups I can do to the bottom of the cabinet. We'll fix it. We'll put a new, or we'll put an original power supply in. And maybe I'll get one of Charles Klein's awesome dual wire mods for the Williams transformer assembly, which I've got in my Joust. But look at that. All right, guys, I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to really especially thank everyone who left a super chat donation, which includes... Let's see, a lot of folks here. Charles Klein, Billy Bob, Cameron Cardwell, a lot from Billy Bob. Ty had a milestone of being a member for 15 months. More from Billy Bob, more from Cameron. Frog Puppet, more from Cameron. Logan LaPointe, which is, I think I've seen that name before around here. Eric Corin, channel member, more Billy Bob, more Billy Bob. Frog Puppet, Cameron, hired gun with 3 to get us across the finish line. Thank you all so very much. And thanks also to Sean, my producer Sean, in the control room for the entire 2 hours plus that we've been here. But yeah, guys, just I think this was successful. We got some work to do still on the Red Baron, but you'll see in this weekend's episode that I rebuilt, or at least did a cap kit and fixed some other things on the Geo5 802 black and white vector monitor. I did some minor repairs to the Red Baron cabinet. Just, there were some loose panels that I got all nice and secure with some crown staples with my staple gun. We went through the checklist, checking the fuses. We replaced a fuse that was out of spec. We tested the AR2. We tested the Big Blue. Did a bunch of stuff like that. We replaced the 2N3055 bottle cap power transistor on the AR2. The voltages, everything looked good. And we were able to get some sounds out of the speaker. And we got Red Baron playing on the scope. The only issue is the image is a little bit jumpy, a little bit twitchy. So the next thing I'll probably do, which hopefully you'll be able to see that in this weekend's video, is I'll remove all the socketed chips, clean them up if they look dirty, make sure they're reseated, and hopefully we'll be able to play, or at least see Red Baron playing on the monitor. And then with everyone's generosity, we got across the 20 super chat donation goal. I did not think we were going to do that. Sean and I were talking about this ahead of time, and you guys are always so generous, but I thought 20 was a pretty big hill to climb, and we got there. And so you guys got the world exclusive first look at my Bubbles cabinet. So you'll be seeing more of this. I'll probably do a pickup for this at some point, or like long play duration of this once I get a little bit better. Yeah, I'm really excited to have this. This was probably the top of my wanted list for a long time, and I got that termite damaged Bubbles that was a little bit disappointed about when I picked it up. But yeah, this is great. And like I said, if someone is really eager to take on the challenge of restoring that termite damaged Bubbles cabinet, let me know. I'll give you an extremely good deal on that. Oh, Billy Bob, hey, thanks for sticking around, man. But yeah, guys, I'm going to sign off too. Thank you again also very much. You'll be seeing more of this in the future. Check the new episode coming out. Hopefully be released to the public on Sunday, or to exclusive early access for all channel members on Saturday. If you're not a channel member, you're missing out. If you've been watching this whole live stream, you clearly like what I'm doing, but if you really want to get everything out of it, you should definitely become a channel member. Click that join button down below to learn what it's all about. Basically, you donate $1.99 a month, and in exchange, you get to support my YouTube channel, which goes into buying parts and stuff for all these games and tools and whatnot. But you also get access to some awesome perks. A monthly members-only live stream. In addition to all this, it's a completely different format. It's more of a hangout-style format where everyone's involved, everyone's interactive. We do... you get early access to all new videos, typically about a day, sometimes several days in advance of the public release. And the best of all, you get access to our private members-only Discord server, which is one of, if not the best, arcade communities out there. Ask any channel member, they'll tell you all about it. All the guys here with like a star next to the name in the live chat, they are all channel members. Thank you all so very much for all of your support. And if you're thinking about doing it, ask one of those channel members what they like about it, because I'm sure you recognize some of their names if you're active at all in this hobby. But again, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for interacting. Thanks for all the chats. Thanks for all the super chat donations. I love you all. I'm signing off. As always, you've been watching Overtime Art.